maybe two essential conditions. There may be many others, but two are vital. First of all, and I know it sounds trivial, dialogue. We need to have more bipartisan conversations across every context where technology is being developed and regulated. The second thing is, because things are changing so rapidly, what is important is to have a long-term vision. And so I started from the philosophy of information, looking at the more epistemological, scientific issues concerning knowledge and information communication. Then I moved to the ethics of information, trying to understand what kind of frameworks we can provide, what sort of pressing issues need to be addressed first. And then we have the logic of information, and then finally the understanding of the ethics of AI. We're constantly in a digital environment and not in a digital environment. On life means at the same time online and offline. It means digital and analog. What it means to exist and what it means to act and be an agent in the infosphere are completely transformed. And this is historic. And the fourth revolution is the displacement, the moving away from the center of humanity when it comes to the infosphere.
こんにちは。NTT データ経営研究所と国への社長をしています山口です。今まではデジタルがビジネスにどのように影響を与えるかということを中心にインタビューしてきましたが、今回はこの AI 技術が急速に進展し、社会へ大きなインパクトを与えている中で少し立ち止まってデジタル社会、AI 社会にどのような倫理や哲学が求められるのかということについてインタビューしましたので紹介したいと思います。今日は AI の倫理学の世界的ソートリーダーでありますイェール大学のルチアーノ・フロリディ先生をお招きして情報社会の哲学、AI の倫理学の哲学的基礎について対談いたしました。ルチアーノ・フロリデ教授はオックスフォード大学の哲学の教授として多くの業績を残され、EU の GDPR やいろんなデジタル規制の哲学的基礎を作られたと聞いております。現在はイェール大学のデジタルエシックスセンターのセンター教授をされております。教授はデジタルは単なるツールではなく、私たちが生活する環境を作り出しているということをおっしゃっております。私たち人間は情報的な生物として情報環境、インフォスフィアの中で相互に結ばれ、それに埋め込まれており、他の情報エージェントと共有して生きているということ、具体的にはデジタルが新しい現実を作り上げ、我々の世界というのはそこに住む私たちの生活のあらゆる側面をデジタルが作り出しているということをおっしゃっております。またこの現在のデジタル社会というものを歴史的に見たときにどのような人間存在に関する認識革命が起きてきたかという大変興味深い話もされております。これは第4の革命という本の中で書かれている話で、今回のこのエシックスそのものには書かれてないんですけれども、大変興味深いので紹介させていただきたいと思います。第一の革命というのはコペルニクスの革命ということで、地球が宇宙のセンターであるという具合に人間は思ってたわけですが、そうではなくて太陽が宇宙のセンターであり、地球はその中の一つの惑星に過ぎないということで、人間の存在が太陽の中のワンオブゼムであるということを認識したということが第一の革命でございます。第二の革命はダーウィンの革命ということで、人間は他の動物とは異なる特別な存在だと思ってたわけでございますけれども、人間は動物と切り離されたものではなく、動物世界の中の動物王国の一員であると いうことの認識が変わったのが第二の革命でございます。第三の革命はフロイトの革命ということで、人間は意識、知性に基づいて行動を決定しているという具合に思ってたわけですが、フロイトの無意識ということで人間の行動というのは無意識にも左右されているということに気づいたというのは第三の革命でございます。第四の革命というのはチューリングの革命ということで、理性的な情報処理や推論をできるのは人間のみと思ってたところが、今AI がどんどん進んできてたように、コンピューターが理性的な論理的な推論や情報処理ができるという具合に変わってきたところでございます。この4つの革命を通して、この今第4の革命がちょうど第4の革命が起きているところで、これが進展しているというのがフロリダ先生がおっしゃっているところでございます。またその AI ということの位置づけということで、少し先生の独自の見解がございます。その AI というのは人間の知的営みそのものを模倣するんではなくて、知的営みの結果を模倣するものであり、 AI というのは人間と対等するものじゃなくて、人間がある目的を達成するために使うエージェンシーという位置づけに捉えるべきだということをおっしゃっております。また先生はですね、私たちはデジタル世界を構築する初期の段階に立っている。私たちは将来の世代も含めてデジタルが悪い方向に影響を与えないように、まさに今正しい方向づけをする必要があるということをおっしゃっております。そのために哲学倫理が必要なのだということで、この AI のエシックスの基本的哲学的考え方を述べておられます。また先生はいろんな AI の倫理でありますとかレギュレーションに貢献されておりますので、それらをまとめて多くの AI の倫理的な原理を統合し、独自のフレームワークをこの本の中で述べられております。特にエシックスの中もですね、ルールや法律のようなハードエシックスと、それを実行あるものにしていくソフトエシックス、これらを両方組み合わせて実現していくことが重要だという具合に主張されております。今回は先生がかなり本に書いてないところも多くお話ご説明いただいておりますので、ぜひじっくりビデオを見ていただければと思います。Today, we are honored to have a distinguished guest, Professor Luciano Floridi. Floridi is one of the most influential thinkers in digital ethics, the philosophy of information, and AI governance. He is currently director of the Digital Ethics Center at Yale University. His books, including The Fourth Revolution, The Ethics of Information, and The Ethics of Artificial Intelligence, provide profound insight into how digital environments are reshaping human identity, agency, and responsibility. Floridi-san, we are delighted to have you with us today. To start, could you kindly introduce yourself to the audience and share some of the key motivations behind your research on digital ethics and AI?
Thank you. I am deeply honored to be with you during this presentation. I've been, I must confess, a great fan, as many people. I'm not original, of Japan. And it is a privilege to be able to share some thoughts with you and our audience, including members of the company. I would also like to take a moment to thank you for your visit and the very insightful and very helpful time we spent together when you were at Yale. Once again, it was a privilege to be able to interact with you. As a quick introduction, I don't want to take too much time. I can say maybe 2 words about my biography. As people will hear from my accent, I spent a long time in England, where I was a professor at the University of Oxford. But the origins are not English. I was born in Rome, where I grew up, and I did my first degree in philosophy. I moved to England when I was finishing my undergraduate degree, and I spent most of my life there until a couple of years ago. A couple of years ago, I was very firmly and very kindly invited to join Yale. I said firmly because Yale did not get no for an answer. They had this new center for digital ethics, and they were looking for a director. They invited me several times, and at some point it became just too appealing, too exciting to join this new enterprise. So I left Oxford, though I had no plans to leave Oxford, to come to another extraordinary, wonderful university on the other side of the Atlantic. This is the few words about the biography. Maybe, if I may, a couple of words on the intellectual development. I'm a philosopher. I can claim no other form of expertise. And I've been doing philosophy all my life in terms of my job, my training and education first, and then my employment later. As a philosopher, I've always worked on technological issues, and I believe that this is not a marginal topic, not something that can engage philosophers when they have nothing else to do or nothing better to do. It is my firm conviction, my strong belief that today philosophy must engage as a primary, fundamental, essential task with the philosophical, conceptual, ethical debate concerning technology. It needs to join forces with people from all different venues and forms of expertise. So philosophy has to have a dialogue, as we have in today, with industry, where the technology is being built, invented, designed, where innovation happens, with society, with politics, where the impact of technology is felt, and where the regulation, the approach to what technology we want to see flourishing is shaped. But all this is part of a dialogue where philosophy can contribute conceptual understanding and conceptual design. And that's my last comment. I understand philosophy as a form of design. We don't design buildings, we don't design new cars, new motorbikes, or new services, new legislation. We design concepts, theories, frameworks that help us to understand what problems are significant, important, and what kind of solutions become available for debate, so that there might be more choice. Philosophy, if you like, is a bit like cooking. There is good cooking and bad cooking, and I speak to an extraordinary culinary tradition, which of course comes also from another culinary tradition in Italy. We know what good cooking and bad cooking is and looks like. But of course, there is a lot of tolerance and compatibility and choice. So imagine that philosophy is a way of expanding and enriching our options, as opposed to not restricting and constraining. Once you have that picture, the more restaurants in town, the better. And it is important to take care of the proper way of treating problems, designing concepts, finding solutions. In other words, we need to do some good cooking. But I'll stop here because I don't want to take too much time. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving forward, we need to address a crucial question. Why does AI require an ethical framework beyond mere regulation? As AI continues to evolve, shaping industries, economies, and daily life, it becomes clear that technology alone cannot guide us toward a better society. Ethics ensures that AI aligns with human values, fairness, and accountability beyond compliance with laws and policies. We believe there are two key approaches to AI regulation: philosophy-led approach. This approach is human-centric, prioritizing societal outcomes. Philosophy provides a foundation for ethical reasoning. Ethics, in turn, defines our understanding of human rights and dignity. Together, these principles guide the establishment of regulatory frameworks that aim to protect individuals and society from potential AI risks. The second approach is market-led. This approach is market-centric, focusing on economic outcomes. Industries and business drive innovation and seek competitive advantages. Their efforts also contribute to the development of AI regulations, ensuring that technologies remain viable, scalable, and aligned with global market standards. Both approaches play a crucial role in shaping AI regulation. 黒寺さん、from your perspective, how do we ensure that regulations effectively balance societal well-being and economic growth?
A very quick comment here. We can and we should embrace a view that sees competitiveness, innovation, and regulation as, imagine, three legs of the same stool. We need to sit on all three. We cannot afford, in an advanced society like Japan, like we in Europe, the United States, to privilege only one, forgetting the other two. We need innovation to create the future of tomorrow, improve human condition, take care of the environment. We need competitiveness in order to be sharp, to make sure that the best solutions emerge, that waste doesn't slow us down, that the redundancy, the repetition are not problems. And so competitiveness in a good, say, sport way of doing our best and being encouraged to do our best, always, regularly, always pushing for a partial improvement in our performance. That is what competitiveness does at its best. But then we need regulations, because all this happens in a context where the players need to know that there is a level field, that there are no people who cheat, that the values are shared by everybody. So if you put these three components, innovation to improve, competition to ensure that the improvement is efficient, and regulations to make sure that there is fairness in the competition and the innovation, then we have the best of all possible worlds. I would like just to conclude by saying it is a wrong narrative, the narrative that says that you have to choose one of the three, either innovation or regulation, either competitiveness or regulation. We need all of them because they are compatible. It's just a bit more difficult. But then who said that grabbing the best of the future was going to be easy? It is a challenge, but it's a challenge that the best countries and the best companies are definitely equipped to grab.
Thank you. To continue, I would like to quote from your book. We are at the very early stage of the construction of our digital realities. We can get them right before they start affecting and influencing both us and future generations in the long way. It is essential to understand how philosophy and ethics shape regulations. First, regulations through the lens of philosophy. Philosophy helps us take a holistic approach to the interaction between humans, technology, and society. By incorporating philosophical reasoning, we can avoid short-term reactionary policies that may create unintended consequences. Instead, we can focus on long-term societal benefit and responsible governance. Second, keeping pace with technological advancement. AI and emerging technologies evolve rapidly, often outpacing traditional regulation. This creates a delicate balance. If regulations are too lax, we risk societal harm. If they are too strict, we stifle innovation. Ethics serve as a guide principle to ensure that AI is used responsibly and beneficially while allowing for continuous progress. フロリデさん、in your view, how can philosophy, policymakers and business create a more adaptable and ethical sound regulatory framework in such a fast-changing technological landscape?
We'll be brief. I think there are maybe two essential conditions. There may be many others, but two are vital. First of all, and I know it sounds trivial, dialogue. We need to have more bipartisan conversations across every context where technology is being developed and regulated. Look what happens when there is only contrast, when we fight among each other, when even allies don't speak to each other anymore. So more dialogue, more understanding, more trust in each other. And so, for example, policy and business decision makers need to sit around the same table with a bit of trust, knowing that they are all doing the best to improve society. The second thing is, because things are changing so rapidly, what is important is to have a long-term vision. What I normally say is that there is no point in chasing a train. You need to be at the railway station earlier to catch the train. There is no way of catching the train once it has left the railway station. And so being at the sort of railway station earlier is the long-term vision. It means that you are anticipating and creating the conditions to be there so that when we will be there, you know exactly the kind of project that you want to have. Now, imagine the construction of a skyscraper, a huge building. You don't simply start one day putting one sort of stick or one brick here and one there. There is a whole project. And so as things start speeding up, you know exactly what the final construction would be. So I'm very much in favor of a proactive, project-oriented perspective, long-term, instead of a reactive, short-term, cope with the problem, and then there will always be the next problem and the next. As we would say when we were in school, you have to do your homework as early as possible, and then you can have some time off.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Next, we will move to Florida-san's original project, PPI. So, Florida-san, your work on Principia Philosophiae Informationis provides foundational framework for understanding the philosophy of information, ethics, and AI governance. It is a comprehensive approach that evolves through 4 key volumes. First, the philosophy of information. Second, the ethics of information. Third, the logic of information. Fourth, the ethics of AI. As we explore this comprehensive intellectual framework, we would like to hear your thoughts. What was your overall thought and key motivation behind developing this body of work? How does this framework help us understand and govern AI responsibly?
Thank you. The project was born out of the idea that we need a philosophy for the 21st century that takes advantage of the past, conserves the best lesson we have had, if you like, starts from the past century, but develop its own identity its own approach to contemporary problems that are very different from the ones we had last century. And so if in the past we could still have a philosophy that was not concerned about technology, about artificial intelligence, or the ethics of digital services and a digital society, well, of course, now this has changed dramatically. So many years ago, when I was much younger, as you can tell from those numbers, the dates on those books, I envisaged a bit of an architecture of the foundation of this 21st century philosophy as a philosophy of information, thinking, well, we have had all this wonderful legacy and all these lessons from the past, but what can we contribute to this huge book of philosophy? What is our own chapter? And I think the new chapter in this wonderful, very long, millennia-long book that is philosophy is the philosophy of information. Of course, that meant to organize this into blocks, so one piece at a time, as I said, a big architecture. And so I started from the philosophy of information, looking at the more epistemological, scientific issues concerning knowledge and information communication. Then I moved to the ethics of information, trying to understand what kind of frameworks we can provide, or sort of pressing issues need to be addressed first. And then we have the logic of information, and then finally the understanding of the ethics of AI, which is really part of, and I close here, a single volume that I divided into two parts. It's all about agency, artificial agency on the one hand, so AI, and the philosophy and ethics of it, and then socio-political agency, which is more of sort of political philosophy or philosophy of social science. And in that case, that is exactly what I'm working on these days. As you can tell, there is the Politics of Information, Volume 4B. It will come. It will be about collective agents, as you can see from the yellow tag very carefully put there. Thank you. It will be a matter of understanding how agency has changed in the 21st century. And what can we say about it that makes it, one, understood correctly, and two, designed as we wanted. And that is the topic for the new book, which I'm writing at the moment.
Thank you for that explanation. Today, we'd like to focus on two key areas within your work: the fourth revolution and the ethics of AI. These areas are particularly relevant as we navigate the challenges and opportunities AI presents to society. In this section, we will introduce and discuss the concept of the fourth revolution. What's particularly interesting is that we see strong synergies between your framework and your philosophical approach. As digital transformation accelerates, we are witnessing a fundamental shift in how culture, society, and the economy operate. This shift is driven by the rise of connected intangible products and services enabled by AI and digital platforms. Historically, economic growth was fueled by capital investment in factories and production. Consumers sought wealth by acquiring more tangible goods. However, today, consumer data has become the key resource influencing market and decision-making processes. This transition is accompanied by three fundamental shifts. Firstly, economy. A value shift: data creates value to make personalized services. Second, culture. A priority shift. Value shifts people to a time-performance mindset. Third, society. A power shift: big tech and populists steer political power. Let me explain a little more about the three shifts. The impact on politics, the economy, and culture can be explained with more detailed elements. There is a causal relationship between these elements, but we omit that here to make this chart simpler. Rise of connected intangible services and products change the economy, where data creates value to make services more personalized. For enterprises, the key to growth is to how to provide personalized services with more data. Consumers receive the benefit of the services, and they will come to see the value of personalization more highly. Changes the economy can lead to a major shift in culture and politics. The most prominent impact on culture is virtual shift. People spend more time in virtual world, where time performance is prioritized. Filter bubbles and echo chambers that amplify certain ideas while limiting diverse perspectives may cause cyber cascade. Lastly, in politics, big tech and populists have become a greater power. As a term, cyclical politics suggests voters expect intuitive politics and politicians focus on easy to understand short-term benefit. And three fundamental shifts will be accelerated by generative AI. In understanding the role of AI in human society, we have modified Maslow's hierarchy of needs to illustrate how AI functions align with different levels of human needs. Traditionally, Maslow's model outlines 5 key human needs, ranging from basic physiological survival to self-actualization. As AI evolves, we see its role shifting from a passive tool to an active partner in human development. First, AI today primarily acts as a responder, answering questions and handling basic tasks. This aligns with physiological and comfort needs, ensuring accessibility, convenience, and efficiency. Second layer, AI is now evolving into an agent, autonomously streamlining process to boost efficiency and productivity. Third layer, AI is moving toward being a partner, engaging in meaningful conversations, offering insight, and fostering relationship by providing balanced advice. The last phase or last stage, the ultimate evolution is AI as a coach, guiding individuals toward self-improvement, personal growth, and expertise development, aligning with self-actualization needs. As AI progresses, it will enhance convenience and decision-making, but also introduce new risks such as over-reliance, bias, and ethical challenges in human-AI relationships. Florida-san, how do you view this evolution? What ethical and societal considerations should we keep in mind as AI transitions from a tool to an active force in human self-actualization? Please.
I think this slide is very important. Whoever is going to take advantage of this presentation should really focus on this shift that you have so well presented from agents as just a partner to coach to actual sort of other agents among us. I'd like to maybe, again, don't want to take too much time, but add a comment to what has already been explained very clearly. And this is AI for a long time was a branch of mathematics and mathematical logic. It's what some of us would some white hair, have studied many, many years ago. When we studied AI, we were looking at something that was deterministic. We knew that given their input, given their process, it was always going to be their output. It may not work, but if it did work, it was inevitably the same output, like a pocket calculator. Now, we know that today the extraordinary development of AI is due to its stochastic or statistical nature. And of course, correlation is everything here, neural networks and so on. This means that we need to reconsider AI from being a discipline that is within the mathematical domain, mathematical logic, to really being a discipline that belongs to social science. So my invitation would be to understand profoundly this slide and the following that we're going to discuss from a social science perspective, thinking in terms of this technology as made of agents that have behaviors that need to be studied with the social science tools that we have. At that point, we will be in a more advantageous position than still thinking in terms of deterministic computation that needs to adapt to something that deterministic is not. So my invitation, looking at the slide and the conversation we're having, is think like a social scientist, don't think as a mathematician.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts. Now, let's shift our focus to a concept that lies at the core of digital transformation, on life. This describes the blurring boundary between online and offline identities. Traditionally, people maintain distinct physical identities, but in the infosphere, personal and social identities are increasingly shaped by digital interactions. Rather than explaining this myself, I would like to invite you to Flori-san to introduce this concept. Could you walk us through the key ideas behind on life and explain how the digital self is becoming as significant as the physical self? Please.
Thank you. Yes, so this concept was developed by me many, many years ago when I was invited by the European Commission to chair a European Commission project on the impact of digital technologies on European citizens. I needed a single word, a label, to explain as clearly as possible the new experience that already many years ago we were looking at. The experience, for example, of being at the same time connected to someone, but also in a physical space. I used the example of cooking before, so I might use it again. Imagine being in your kitchen and you're cooking, obviously, something real, maybe a chicken, shall we say. At the same time, you're looking at the recipe on your mobile phone. You're streaming data, listening to music through the Wi-Fi of the house. The cooking might be partially not analog, of course, but also digital. The clock on the wall is digital. Of course, all this requires rethinking something that in the 90s we had framed as going online and going offline. People my age remember that. They remember that we would connect and disconnect. We had modems. You were online or you were offline. Now, many years later, and of course, certainly today, that is no longer true. We are constantly connected and not connected. We're constantly in a digital environment and not in a digital environment. Imagine when you drive a car, if you have a driverless car or you have just one of those cars with assisted driving, well, then what happens is that there's a lot of digital processing. Of course, the car might even decide to speed up or slow down. It might use the brake independently of your driving. possibly to save from some risks. All this means that clearly describing that as being offline is a mistake. Describing that being online is also a mistake. Is that analog? Is that digital? So all this became a problem, and I provided the European Commission with this special word. I said, look, we really need to invent a new term. On-life means at the same time, online and offline. It means digital and analog. It means that if you come to my kitchen and I'm cooking, or you are with me in the car and you ask me, are you online or are you offline? My answer is, you must be from the 90s, because that distinction doesn't apply anymore. We are constantly both. So once we understand that we are constantly both, the final point is that our identity, who we are, what we can do, what we can afford, the opportunities, the constraints, essentially our whole life as individuals changes. It becomes shaped by the on-life experience. What I tell my students is that they have no idea what the world was like when they were not on life. Some of us, again, with a bit of age, know exactly what the world looked like when it was purely analog. There was no digital technology, and we had to pay with a coin, maybe, for a telephone call in a public space. So the on-life experience is what we're going to see today and tomorrow. Final comment is irreversible. We will never be just online and just offline. In the same way as we will never be without the kind of medicine we have, the engineering we have, and so on. Is an irreversible point that we want to shape according to the best ethics we have.
Thank you. Before the digital era, human existence was primarily shaped by the physical environment, and technology was mere a tool rather than an integral part of daily life. First, the environment influenced humans. Second, humans used digital tools, but these tools had no real impact on human cognition or identity. Third, digital had no reciprocal influence on human existence. This was a time when the digital world was disconnected from the human experience, and the physical world remained the primary driver of change and interaction. However, as we moved into the digital era, leading to the on-life experience, where the digital and physical world merged into a single ecosystem, we are moving from being in the world to being in the infosphere. Digital technologies are no longer just tools that we use. They actively shape and create the world we live in. The boundaries between online and offline is disappearing. Our identities, decisions, and interactions are now influenced by both the physical and digital world. Flori-san, could you elaborate on this transition from offline to on-life, off-life to on-life? What are the key philosophical and ethical implications of this shift?
This is a very important slide, a very important shift in our history. We have never been on life. We have never lived in the infosphere, but we do now. I might stress 2 points for the sake of simplicity. One is the concept of interaction. What does it mean for something to exist, to be real, to be part of my world? Well, in a physical world, in the past, it meant that I could interact with an object in a 3D space with physical properties. I could say, open the door, or drive the car, go back home, write with a pen on a piece of paper. There were things that, in order to exist, had to be in space and time. So they had to have an identity in a 3D space and through some time in that space. Today, and I think we are right, we're doing the right thing, we also understand something as existing, even if it's a purely digital entity that does not have a body in a 3D space and doesn't have a particular history through our everyday life and history and time. Let me give you an example. If you have an icon on a phone and you can interact with that icon, do things by pressing or moving or shifting that icon is real. It doesn't matter that it's not physical. It does not matter that it does not have a body. And it's not like a handle of the door in my house, which I can also interact with, but it has the same kind of effects. So we are moving from existence as being a physical body in a 3D space in time to being also something that I can interact with. And as long as it works, that's real. Now imagine that icon stops working. I press, I push, I move it, nothing happens. It's just a bit of color on my screen. All of a sudden, it doesn't exist anymore. It's not real. It's dead. So first point, moving into a digital world, being in the infosphere means having a different conception of what is real and what is not, what counts as part of my environment and what doesn't. So that is number one. The second thing is that this infosphere has many more agents in it than the physical world. In the physical world, we may have a robot that cleans the floor, and maybe my car has some kind of digital services, etc. But we don't really encounter digital agents. In the infosphere, we do. All the services we interact with, online, commercial, business-oriented, health-related, for fun, because we want to have some entertainment, because we are acquiring some education, there's a lot of agency in the infosphere that is artificial. Now, these new agents are as real as the icon I mentioned before. If I can interact with an agent online, if I can be in the infosphere and have a service delivered by an agent, or ask an agent to do this and that for me. Now, agentic AI, well, that agent is as real as the dog or as the friend I might have in the other side of the divide in real life, as my student would say. So even these two fundamental, think about it, fundamental elements of our lives, what it means to exist and what it means to act and be an agent in the infosphere are completely transformed. And this is historical. Let me just say this to conclude. Never before have we had this experience, has never been with us, and it will be with us for the rest of our human history. It's a bit like writing. There was a time where we did not know how to write many millennia ago, but at some point we invented writing, and we have had that in our history forever. I think that the infosphere and the changes in the infosphere are going to be with us from now onwards. It's an important shift of historical proportion.
Thank you for expanding this concept. So I'm very impressed by your thought of 4 revolutions. Can you share about the details of these revolutions? Furu-san, could you provide a key takeaway on the implications of this 4th revolution? How should we understand our place in this new reality? Please.
Thank you. Yes, and again, I'll try to be short. Apologies if I take too much time. So these 4 revolutions have been really fundamental in our self-understanding, understanding who we are in the universe, what is the human nature and destiny. And they have affected all of us, wherever we are on this planet, any culture, any society, any individual who has ever been exposed to these 4 transformations. The first one is a Copernican revolution is discovery that we're not at the center of the universe. Now, thanks to Copernicus, we lost that centrality. The universe is a big place. Our galaxy is not even at the center of it. And we're not at the center of the galaxy. We're not even at the center of the solar system. So we are on this beautiful planet, blue dot with the sun in the immense sort of space of the universe. It is humbling in a way, but also, if you like, poetic. We're not at the center, but we can be at the service of the universe. Then the second revolution is biological. After Darwin, we realized that we are not at the center of the biological kingdom, the animal kingdom. So we thought we were at the center of the universe, but we're not. We are on a small planet in the periphery. We thought we were at least at the center of the animal kingdom, but we are not. There is a lot that puts us together with all the other species, all the other animals. There's more, if you like, more of a link and less of a jump between us and other primates. Of course, the third one was brought by Freud in psychoanalysis, psychology, explaining to us that even within our own mind, we're not at the center. We are not aware of the desires, the choices, the fears, the hopes, the subconscious, as we say, from Freud onwards, pulls and pushes that determine some of our life, some of our choices and preferences. So we're not at the center of the universe. We're not at the center of the animal kingdom. We're not at the center of the mental space either. There was one more centrality that had to be challenged, the centrality of the infosphere, which we saw in the slides before. We thought, at least until Alan Turing onwards, that we were at the center of the space of information, that if you wanted to play chess, you needed a human being. If you wanted to drive that car successfully, that was the only alternative. If you wanted to do something intelligent, you had to have a human being or several human beings with you. Well, that's no longer true. And the fourth revolution is the displacement, the moving away from the center of humanity when it comes to the infosphere. At this point, we have completed the sort of 1, 2, 3, 4 movements. And what remains, and I close here, is a sense of maturity, if you like, a sense that we're not child. We're not children. We're not childish. We don't think that everything is around us, that the party is only for us. We're grown-ups. Humanity has acquired some awareness that has responsibilities, duties of those who organize the party, but the party is not ours. We are at the service of nature, at the service of history, at the service of the universe. But the universe is not for us. Nature is not for us. History is not for us. So instead of thinking, this is my party and everybody will have to do what I want, if I want, that's humanity. 1, 2, 3, 4 revolutions. We now have a humanity that looks at its task and duty as one of care, of service, of looking at the other as someone who is the other at the center, and we, as the intelligent species, we can do something to support, to help. Now, this is, as I said, I close here, a sign of maturity, of development, and I welcome it profoundly. It means that the digital revolution will have taught us the ultimate lesson in humbleness, that we can be of service, we can be at the service of the other, but we are not at the center of either the universe or the animal kingdom, the mental life, or the infosphere. It is important to realize that this is a new philosophical perspective.